just want to thank you both for being here, for coming today. I know it's been a long time in coming, and to the events and experiences coming up to date prior to today. I just want to take a moment to celebrate the fact that you guys are both here and you recognize that there is a conflict and is an issue that needs to be addressed, and that you guys are going to work to do our best to get down to the bottom of this. Also, just going to make sure that have individual conversation with both of you all, just to hear both sides of the story, and yeah.
So we're here to address specific concerns in order to prevent any further action from taking place. We're here to help facilitate an environment where we can have conversation, and everything in here is confidential according to the California Code 11.5, that everything that is said in this room is simply going to stay in this room and hear to further conversation. And we're going to now take a look if we have any other documents we need to sign, as well as I want you both to feel super comfortable in the space. We have water provided, restrooms. If you need to get up, use the restroom, feel free to do so at any time. As well as the fact that we want to give each of you a chance to speak with uninterrupted time. Therefore, while another party is speaking, if you feel some questions arise or statements you want to blurt out, please refrain from doing so. We have notepads provided to you so that you can write down your thoughts and in order to not forget them. And then when we go back to your turn of speaking, we will address those issues that you took notes of.
All right, I just want to make sure you guys go ahead and share everything that you're feeling today. Don't leave anything out, or don't leave anything unsaid. Make sure that we're getting everything that we want to talk about and speak about on the table. And our goal here is to make sure that have a well dialogue between the two of you, and with us included here, and to make sure that see what we can do to help this conflict here. So just first, I want to start off by just saying my name is Jalen.
I'm Marjan.
And I just want to know how can we address you guys today? You have to be addressed by.
I'm fine with shotgun.
Alrighty.
Yeah, you can just call me Devin. Makes it easier.
Okay. Alright, so Shabnan and Devin, we'll go ahead and start with Shabnan. Just tell me a little bit how you're feeling today.
Well, I am definitely irate and livid.
Okay.
I think that, I'm not sure if you guys are parents here, but I definitely am. Between the two of us, I am the parent. I am a mom. I love my children very much. And the last year of my life has been a living hell, because my home has become a prison. And I say this because when your home is not somewhere that you can be comfortable in, then what exactly is it? Does it become a home to you? No. A home is where you're supposed to be the most comfortable, where you go to escape chaos that from day-to-day jobs and personal issues I may be having. When it comes to my home, that is my safety. That is where I'm most comfortable. And that is where I plan on raising my kids. I have worked extremely hard to live in the neighborhood that I live in now. Me and my husband have worked extremely hard to make sure that our kids go to the best schools that we can provide them financially. And so that now that I have been able to purchase this home with my husband, which is, a dream come true, and make sure that our kids went to the school that we wanted them to go to, the last thing I thought I would ever have to deal with is my children not being able to gain my permission to play in the backyard. I never thought that I would be that mother that would say, no, honey, no, you cannot play in the backyard right now. Why? Because some pervert is in the backyard doing God knows what, fully naked, but I don't know who else is there. I mean, you can imagine what.
I want to let you finish, but I want to make sure that we're just in a safe environment here. restrain from using words like pervert. Just hear your side of the story here. Just want to make sure, no offense here. Sorry. I hope that doesn't bother you. Just want to make sure that we're gonna go ahead and,
I don't think that I said anything that was offensive. We all know, which I'm sure he will acknowledge, that he is fully naked in the backyard. We can all understand when we're fully naked, and I don't understand why the need of fully naked in a backyard for their children.
So your concern is that
So that makes
you
him
have
a
young
pervert.
children who play in your backyard throughout
Yes.
the day,
Yes,
and
to say the
sometimes
absolute least.
if
in
your
this
neighbor happens to be nude in his own backyard, your children can come into contact with this, is what you're
So if you're
it's
asking,
visible through your
if
fence?
you're asking me what I'm concerned with, yes, I'm concerned that my children will be exposed to a pervert. I'm scared that my children, who are not fully aware of,
We wanna-
adults and being tied to, things tied to nudity, they don't understand.
Okay.
I don't understand why someone is naked in the backyard other than what
Okay.
most
So
people
let's
understand.
stick to him being naked in the backyard rather than using the word pervert, because we just don't want to. We want to refrain from doing any name
A
calling.
pervert
here.
is not a bad word.
I know, but we don't want to address anyone with any names in this room, just to have a
Okay. You don't
neutral
want me to call him a
environment.
label that he is?
No, just
because
no
he's a
labels at all,
pervert?
whether positive or negative.
Okay, so this man, who chose to be fully naked, does not respect that there are children in the backyard. There are children playing, growing, not in the comfort of their own home.
So you're saying he lacks to acknowledge the fact
That I have children that are in the
his
neighborhood.
actions can affect others.
Yeah, his actions completely affect what is happening in my home now. He has turned my home into, I don't understand, but my neighborhood was such a great neighborhood, and him and his actions have made me, wondering what is going on in that house.
Okay.
Let me tell you that the last thing anyone should ever have to go through is being uncomfortable in their own home, and then on top of that,
Sure.
to have my children wonder and crying to me, Mom, why can't we play in the backyard? Why can't we go, we don't have school, it's summer. Why can't we play? What's going on? Who's around?
Just some information from you. So one, I just want to know how old are your children here?
So my youngest is 9 years old. My eldest is 12 years old, and they're just so cute, and they are just the sweetest kids. And I feel really, really awful that we're going through this as a family.
Yeah.
I mean, you should see my husband. If my husband could just, take things into his own hands, I mean, there would be no need for this, whatever the hell we're doing today. There would be none of this. But guess what? I respect the law. I respect, not yelling at fire in a building when there's no fire. So what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to nudity in this country, we all have to be respectful of everyone's religion, of everyone's background. There's no racism, there's no prejudice. I feel that he knows how religious my family is, how religious I am, how conservative I am, that he does it on purpose. He is single-handedly trying to get at me and turn his house
Okay.
into God knows what.
We'll refrain from accusations too.
No, but it's not an accusation. This is why I don't feel like none of you understand what I'm saying. You don't understand what I'm going through.
We
You're not a mom.
understand.
My kids can't play in their own backyard because this man refuses to be fully clothed, and I don't want my kids exposed to that. I don't want my
So
kids to live in an environment that they are gonna be exposed to some, guy that does not respect that you need to wear clothes where people can see you. I know it's his own house.
Right.
It's my own house too.
Right. So just tell me a little bit how your backyard or how they're set
Yeah,
up.
let me tell you about the
environment.
backyard. It's a very, very beautiful backyard. If I were to show you how we have images of our home in this folder, I have a very, very, very expensive swimming pool. Even in the swimming pool, my kids do not swim naked. They have bathing suits on. So we have a swimming pool. So when you get out here, there's a door, and we have a beautiful, upstairs there's a balcony. mind you. I have a balcony in my room. I can't even go and enjoy a cup of coffee in my balcony because I'm afraid to see this man. It's just like I'm laughing, but I'm really laughing from anger because I just don't understand how. I don't know how I got to this point where I bought such a beautiful home where I can't use anything. And the backyard is one of the most favorite things that I love about my home. So I have a swimming pool, I have lots of flowers everywhere, I have a fence, thank God, that separates us, but it's only 8 feet tall. And the fence, it's not like I'm over there peering over the fence. I see that the fence, which is not made of any kind of material where there's no gaps. This is like,
So without trying, you can see into his
I
backyard.
was having my kids swim one day in the pool. It was one of the hottest days of the year that I had experienced so far. And the kids were, asking me, Mom, can we go swim? I said, yeah, let me go, of course, go swim, be safe, all the precautions that I try to go by to make sure that they're safe.
Mhm.
Never in a million years would I have thought that this is something I would do. I'm over here worried that, excuse me, I'm over here worried that they're gonna drown, that they're gonna fight with each other. I mean, I'm just worried about normal things. The last thing I ever thought that I would worry about is walking to my children, just making sure they're okay in the pool, and I look, like I have a couple of really big gaps in the fence, but ironically, I didn't even see him through those gaps. I saw a very, small crack, like this big, and I'm looking, and I see him, like nothing on. And I just freaked out. And you know what the first reaction was? I thought, for a moment in my mind, I said, wow, I'm maybe violating his privacy. That's how much I respect my neighbors. Oh, maybe he just got out of the shower. Maybe he just was like, oh, he left his cell phone outside. I mean, who knows? I was just thinking of things that I perhaps may have done in the past, where like, oh, I have a towel around me, maybe I'll just grab my cell phone that's in the backyard. So I'll go grab it. Or like a toy. No, one of the toys with the kids. Well, it could be whatever. I'm open-minded like that to give someone the benefit of the doubt. I said, okay, oops, I saw something I should not have seen. Let me back away. So I let that pass. Then as the kids were swimming, I went back, and corner of my eye, through the same crack, he's still naked. And I'm thinking, oh, this wasn't like an oops moment. He is aware that he's fully clothed, fully nude in his backyard, and I just was so upset that I did not even think that, to sit there and like, what he probably thinks, spy on him, figure out what the hell he's doing there. No, I instantly went to the backyard, got my kids out of the pool, and I said, we have to go. My kids were bawling. They had skipped their dinner, they were so emotional, they felt they did something wrong, when my kids did nothing wrong. It was all, it was just me trying to protect them, because I didn't want my kids to see it. Number one, to see him fully naked, because they're very young. As you know, kids from like 9 to 12 are going through like puberty, they're going through, I don't walk around naked in front of my children. I don't let my husband walk around naked in front of my children. I take great precautions that they're not exposed to anything, but they're not ready to learn yet.
Okay.
So imagine a day where they're swimming, and I have to get them out of the water on like a freaking 105-degree weather day, saying you need to get out and go inside. And they're crying, and I was so upset and angry that I could not think of like a reason to tell them, hey, you can't swim right now.
So just want to make sure this is the first occurrence.
Yeah, this
is the first time.
absolutely the first time. So what happened was I took them out of the water, I went back inside, and I just kind of like, showered them, got ready, and I went back to make dinner, and I thought to myself, like, what the hell is going on? And you know what happened? I started hearing noises. He was having a party. Like, he was having a party, and I said,
And what would you describe a party as
okay,
being?
so really loud music. Really loud music.
Did you see people?
So I'll get to that. When I heard the loud music, I thought, there's a party going on. So I was like, okay, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I can hear like people around like a barbecue, because I can smell the smoke. And I see that, no, it's having a full-blown barbecue. And I'm like, okay. But then I thought maybe, to tell people. And I honestly, curiosity got the best of me. I said, let me go like see what's going on. I go to a larger gap of my fence actually, and not the same fence in the backyard, and I see that he's naked. Still, and I see like a woman naked. He's very food, and I'm like, oh my god, like what? So you can imagine the wild thoughts that are racing through my mind. Like, what is going on? It's just like, you know, and I'm thinking, he has had like parties like this, and they haven't really bothered me in the past because I paid for like expensive windows. They're really thick. I don't hear a lot of noise coming in, but I thought, oh my god, maybe every time he's had a party, like he's been naked, and now I'm thinking maybe my kids have seen him before. It's not just the first time. Like, this is something that's a major issue because maybe my kids have seen it and haven't told me.
Okay.
That they could have already been psychologically affected by, you know, seeing maybe a man and a woman fully nude engage something and not know. And maybe they think, like, anything is possible, and I'm not taking anything off the table right now. God knows what perverted things happen in that backyard that my kids have been exposed to, that I happen to see through a crack and my fence, or cheap, you know. And I talked to him about it. I talked to him, I shared with him how I feel, I've told him my concern. He knows I have children, but he does not do anything about it. He doesn't care.
And how frequently would you say this occurs?
Well, I don't know how often it occurs in
How often have you seen it?
I've seen it once for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen it once for sure.
Okay, so just want to make sure you've seen it. So the one time, the first time that you addressed the nudity, when your kids were in the pool, and then so the second time here with the party. So so there's 2 days.
Yeah, but if that day
was it
he
all
was
the
there
same
for a
day?
long time, yeah. The thing is that when I went to go talk to him about it, he said he's not gonna stop. He's not gonna change. He's not gonna respect my wishes. He's
So
not
you
gonna respect the
tried
neighborhood.
to have a conversation.
Yeah,
about
I did. I
this.
tried to talk to him, and guess what? I've heard squat shit from him.
Was that
day.
conversation, did it have to be the same day, or was it a later day?
No, I saw him when I was leaving the backyard, and I told him. And I said, hey, there is something about our backyard. You know, do you see that fence? Do you see that there's children out there? Do you see that it doesn't, you know, it doesn't like stop little kids who are not that tall from going through the cracks and seeing what's going on. You know, kids are kids. They play, they do all kinds of things. I'm really afraid they've seen him already.
So you can tell me if I'm wrong here. So if it was the one day you were outside, your kids were in swimming pool. You noticed a crack that Devin here was naked.
Yeah.
You thought that it was maybe a mistake or something happened, and then you went back inside later on that day at a party.
The party when I
that
went
same
back
day?
to check.
And was that how long was that? When was the party? When did the party start? When did you
I don't
notice?
remember exactly when it started.
Would you say
It was in the
later in the
evening.
night, in the evening?
It was in the evening, yeah. It wasn't like 3 in the morning,
Right.
but it was pretty like.
Like 10,
I'm a
11,
mom,
yeah.
so my hours vary from time to time. I mean, the kids sleep early. Our evenings definitely, you know, day ends earlier because we put the kids to sleep, and you know, that's during normal school hours, but school days. But in the summer, yeah, we definitely let them stay up late. And in the
Is
summer,
this-
when they're in the backyard, that's when they play. That's where they swim. That's where they do all kinds of things. My daughter loves flowers. She's always by that fence. My husband and I were gonna ask my son to help my husband paint the fence. Do you think I'm gonna let him do that now? Do you think my child's gonna be anywhere near that fence where this guy is there naked?
So you feel you can't even let your children into the backyard at this point?
No,
Because you
I don't really want them there until I have kind of walked around, checked to make sure they're naked, being around these are not happening in the backyard.
Okay.
I do feel like my house has turned into like a prison where the kids don't really go out and play outside, and you know, I think this also really comes down to the fact that my religious beliefs, my conservative beliefs, my way of raising my kids to not be around nudists is not being respected. And I think that in a country where nudity is not it's not permitted so, urgently that you don't see naked people walking down the street because you're not supposed to, it's hard for me to describe, but you're supposed to be a little bit more conservative, no one's allowed to do that. Now, in the comfort of my own home, am I naked? Yes, but am I naked in the backyard where my other neighbors can see me? No, I think that there should be some type of play where that is respected too. There should be some type of underlying, unwritten, unsaid agreement that, yes, I am not going to make you uncomfortable by being naked and you seeing, private parts and your kids. I think that should be respected. I don't think I've had to have this conversation with any of my other neighbors because they know that. Just like you don't have a party every day from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. because you have neighbors. You have neighbors. I don't know why he doesn't understand that he has neighbors. Neighbors
So you
are very,
feel
very
there's
young children.
a lack of understanding to your needs and concerns, and there's also a lack of respect to you.
Lack of respect.
So,
Absolutely.
thank you for expressing your concerns. We will move forward now and have Devin express his concerns and his story. Thank you.
And so Devin, you've heard a little bit about Shop Down here, so you tell me what's going on today.
Well, as you can see, based off of her kind of demeanor, like I'm being kind of attacked by a pit bull. That's the best way to describe it. I feel like, I'm being labeled as a bad guy. As she had said earlier, she called me a pervert. It's a very offensive term, something that you only use when when somebody's making a direct action towards you or towards your children that's unwanted in a sexual manner. And as you can tell from her story, there was never any, direct contact, direct action, any type of attempt to expose myself to anybody. That wasn't the case. So today I'm actually pretty frustrated. I feel like I'm being harassed. I didn't know until this point that I was being watched, and apparently that's a common theme.
Nobody's watching you.
I recently
Write down your thoughts.
between my wife and I, this is my wife. We've been married for going on 20 years. So we're very, very comfortable with each other. We've known each other. We met when we were in school. So we have a very strong bond, and we went through school together. We helped each other get each other's internships. We put each other as points of references on our resumes. So we're very, very close, and we've been very close for a long time. So it's pretty frustrating when you and the person you're in love with, that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and you intend to share everything with, you guys are being watched in that way. It's very uncomfortable. So we recently remodeled our backyard. We got a new hot tub, which is around $10,000. We got a new patio, which is $3,000. A new barbecue, which is about $2,000. Then we got a sauna, which is $5,000. And then we put $10,000 into our landscape and our fence, and a couple of knickknacks here and there.
Okay, so you'd say you invested a lot of money into the renovations.
Invested somewhere around $30,000.
Okay.
$30,000 you get you a lot in this, in this country. $30,000 can, in some states it can get you a home. In some states, you can get a car, you can buy land. So it's a very, very, big investment that we put into our backyard. So when she mentioned that there's cracks in the fence, you would have to kind of adjust a loose piece of fence in order for there to be, big enough of a crack to get a wide view of our backyard. It sounds like, that's what she had, was a wide view of our backyard. I don't know where these cracks are at, because I myself haven't seen them. I was right there. I even designed the fence myself, because, like I said, we invested $10,000 into just landscaping and the fences. So it is in no way ghetto. It's in no way half made. It's a very, very sturdy, very complete fence. As well as there's shrubs, there's flowers, there's different things to kind of make the backyard feel very homey. So it's safe to say that, you know, we fully intend to, you know, be here for a while, and we fully intend to enjoy our backyard. Now, she mentioned that this has been going on for a year. That's not true. It's only been, you know, our backyard only got finished at the beginning of summer, and here we are at the end of summer. So it going on for a year is completely false.
Would you say most of your time throughout the day, your free time is spent in your backyard?
No, not at all. Most of our free time we spend, you know, either going out, you know, visiting various countries. You know, whenever we're off work, because of course we work two full-time jobs.
Right.
So the only time that we're able to, you know, be at home is, you know, after 4 or 5 p.m., which is, you know, getting close to when the sun is going down.
Right.
The only time we are going outside and being any type of nude and enjoying ourselves in that manner is somewhere around, you know, sunset, twilight, you know, when it's starting to tone down.
Right.
And the reason why, you know, we go and we're nude is because we have a hot tub. So we don't have any intention of being naked fully, you know, 2-3 p.m. during the day. That's not the case at all. It's more something that's reserved for, you know, the kind of quieter times, the kind of, you know, more private times, kind of in a romantic light. That's how I like to think of it, and that's kind of how I convinced my wife to be able to do it. You know, like I said, we've known each other for a while, so we're very open to whatever each other wants to enjoy, and you know that popped up as being, you know, one of the things. And she also mentioned that during one of our parties we were naked. That is completely not true. You know, we had guests over, and you know they enjoy our hot tub, and they enjoy, you know, the different amenities. So maybe she saw somebody that was, you know, without a shirt on from the waist up, or maybe a woman was, you know, wearing a bikini, might have been changing her top, you know, whatever it may have been. We don't have nude parties. It's not something that's public.
Right.
It's something
I
that's
didn't say that
private.
there was a nude party. I said that I looked in the crack of the fence and I saw him naked and I saw her naked.
Okay,
Right.
you can write down that thought. We'll address it again when it's your
Just want to make sure. So
turn.
what I'm hearing here, your fence you designed yourself. Your fence. Can you see Shabnam's yard from your fence, from your side?
If I look over the fence,
Right.
and of course, you know, I'm about 6'1". You know, if I stand on a rock, you know, I can peer over and I can, you know, I can see their pool.
Right.
I know that they have a pool in their backyard.
Right.
You know, of course, because I'm standing on a rock, I'm able to, you know, I'm elevated, I'm able to see. It's 8-foot fence.
Right.
So of course it's, you know, 2 feet taller than me. I can't, if standing on ground level, I can't see over it.
Right.
And there's no way, shape, or form that a child would be able to, you know, see over the fence.
Right.
That's, you know, outlandish to even say that at the least. She also mentioned that there's flowers along that fence line on her side. I didn't even know that.
Right.
So you would say visibly
You don't
you
know a lot
can't
of
see
things,
into your
obviously.
neighbor's yards at all.
No, not by accident. I would have to intentionally, you know, stand on something and be peering over and kind of, you know,
How
maneuvering.
does it make you feel when you find out that some of your neighbors can see into your yard when you are enjoying like private time with your wife?
I feel very violated. You know, I feel very harassed. And that's what I mentioned in the beginning, is that I feel harassed. She also posted a sign that says, "No nudity allowed, children present." I feel like that's you know, very harassing, because, you know, if what she's saying is correct and she's the only person that's able to see her, you know, her and her husband, you know, then that would mean that they're the only ones that know that. So I have another neighbor that's lived
Was
there.
there any conversation with Shabnam before about before the sign was posted? Was there any conversation that you had with her about your nudity, or was it just one day you came there and there was a sign posted?
She attempted to approach me one morning while I was getting in my drive. I was in my driveway. I checked my mail, and then I was because I was running late for work. I wanted to see if I had an important piece of mail coming, so I wanted to check to see if it was there. She approached me as I closed my mailbox and I was walking back to my car, kind of rambling about you know, her kids' well-being.
Right.
You know, my well-being is affected. They're being exposed to something that they shouldn't be. They're too young. what you're doing is not right. You know, she kind of came to me in a way that was very confrontational.
Were you aware of the fact that you were able to be seen through that fence?
No, we the way we designed our backyard was so that there was also a privacy screen. You know, that's the reason why we invested so much money. Like I said, we invested enough money to where in different parts of the country we're able to buy pretty big and impactful things. You know, not a lot of people are able to spend $30,000 just on a backyard, let alone anywhere in the
So
house.
after all the money you spent, that you expressed that you spent and work you put into your backyard, would you say you feel like it's kind of like a lack of respect for you not being able to enjoy your backyard?
It's very disrespectful that
Okay.
somebody openly mentioned that they are spying on me.
So you do feel disrespected by
I feel very
the
disrespected.
issue. Okay.
I feel very
That's
disrespected.
something we
that-
have in common here, so
Yeah,
we can address that.
yeah, I feel very disrespected that. Again, it's not like we're choosing to go full nude 2, 3, 12 p.m. on a Saturday. That's not the case, obviously. And obviously on hot summer days where it's 100 degrees, the last thing we want to do is, get naked and then go in the hot tub. Hot water and hot air is not appealing. We're all human beings, and
Yeah,
we all have a certain temperature that we like to be at. If we go over that temperature, we get uncomfortable. So obviously, if I was
That's why we go swimming and the kids go swimming, but they don't,
It's okay. We'll get back to you very, very shortly. Just write down whatever that thought was so we can address it more fully.
like I said, she's very, very aggressive, and she's acting like I'm intentionally, walking into her backyard naked. I feel as though the action she's taking against me is unwarranted. And I can understand, I'm a very practical person. Like I said, me and my wife are college educated, so we're very aware of, different issues.
I'm college educated as well.
Yeah.
If that's what you're trying to say, that
No,
No,
I'm not sure where
He was
he's
just
going with that.
expressing his concerns from his story.
And
But
also
you can-
confirming
Write that.
against
It's
my
okay.
family
We'll confirm everything.
that we're not college educated.
Yeah,
Because
Don't
we're
worry.
conservative.
He wasn't stating any towards you. He was just expressing his story about him and giving us the background of his wife.
when I say that we're college educated, what I meant to say is that we're not oblivious to other people's experiences and other people's observations and other people's spaces. When you go to college and you have a college education, which I'm sure that she will agree with, you take a certain number of courses that teach you about interpersonal interactions, and teach you about different viewpoints, teach you about other people in a way that you may or may not have been aware of before.
Okay.
So when we decide to go outside and enjoy our backyard in the nude manner, it's not outside of a logical way. It's very logical that as it's getting colder during the day, we want to enjoy warm water
Your
in our
amenities,
backyard.
yeah.
And because the sun is going down, it's getting dark, it only makes more
Yeah,
sense.
we understand.
And also because I've known my wife for so long, we've been together for a while, it's kind of a romantic thing where we'll enjoy a glass of wine, the
So
sun's
by
setting.
saying college educated, you're just expressing that you are aware of your surroundings
Mhm.
and how it affects others,
Mhm.
and that you're not just being negligent and
Yeah.
disrespectful. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
When she told her story, she kind of painted the picture that I'm walking around, gallivanting around my backyard nude, slanging my junk everywhere for everybody to see in the broad daylight, and that's not
But
the
it
case
was
at all.
broad daylight, it was in your backyard, and you were fully nude.
It's
And
okay.
your
So,
backyard
let's-
is not in the comfort of his own home. The backyard is visible by myself, by my children, by my husband,
Okay,
and who knows,
we hear
the neighbor
your
on
concerns.
his other side.
Well,
Have you
we'll
heard
address
any from your other neighbors? Have you had any complaints or anything, or is it just from Shop Nabi, or how is tell me about that. Tell me about
So the people that live, she's relatively new to the neighborhood. Me and my wife and I have owned our home for 10 years. Our neighbors, because she's if you're looking at our house, she's on the right side. Our neighbors to the left side of us have been living there for 5 or 6 years. And, we we definitely invite them over to our barbecues and whatnot.
Right.
You know, we haven't known them very long. We've only known them as long as they've known the home, as long as they've owned the home.
Right.
But they've never mentioned anything. They have a pool in their
I've never
backyard as
talked to you
well.
about this.
That's okay.
Oh, I was talking about my other neighbor on the other side.
Right.
You were the only person that said something. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, my neighbor on the other side, they lived there for 5 years, like I was saying. They have never
They
said
haven't
anything.
caught you yet.
So we'll refrain
I mean,
from
if they have, they're
interruption.
just like shocked as I am. It's not like I completely ran to you and talked to you about it as well. I did take a little bit of time to process it.
But I feel like if you have a strong relationship with somebody that, if the relationship is strong, then the communication is very strong.
Yeah.
So whenever
I
there's an
feel
issue, like in the
exact
past, we had an issue over, I believe we were spraying, so on their side of the fence, we have like kind of a garden area, where we're, growing a couple vegetables, you know, so some corn and some tomatoes, you know, just some basic stuff. So my wife and I, you know, we like to garden whenever we get frustrated with each other. It's a good way to kind of blow off steam. So we were spraying a little bit of pesticides, and they didn't really like the smell of it. So they, you know, came over and let us know, hey, you know, do you guys spray anything in the backyard? We smell kind of a weird smell. You know, sometimes like once a month that we get it sprayed. And I go, oh yeah, we have the gardener come in and he sprays, you know, whatever pesticide, I forget what it was. So it's safe to say that whenever there's an issue that our other neighbor feels more than comfortable to come
So you
and
would say there's
address
like
it.
an open line of communication between
Yes.
you and your neighbor that has been there a while.
Yes, so I feel like if you know, they were to see what we were doing in our backyard, see that we were choosing to be nude, if they were to see that in any fashion, you know, if they were to at all view it,
You believe they would come to you right away?
I have 100% guarantee that they would come to us.
But you do realize that I have a very busy schedule.
Well, it sounds like you spend a lot of time spying on me, so
No.
if you were
Okay, let's finish with
don't
Devin,
find you at
and then
all.
we can express, and then we can address all of the concerns you've addressed and written down for us. So, is there anything else you'd like to add? We went over the fact that you paid for a lot in renovations. You simply want to enjoy your privacy and your time with your wife in your own home, and that you have had one of your neighbors that has been there for many years, and they never really expressed any concerns about seeing nudity, and you do strongly believe that they would have told you if they had seen anything before. Am I correct? You're missing anything?
Just before we move on, just describe your relationship with Shabnam here before this incident. Were you guys close? Was this an important relationship?
we never really spoke.
Alright.
There was never really, because we had construction going on for a while when they
Okay.
moved in. So, you know, there wasn't really a lot of room to talk. You know, while the construction was going on, my wife and I took a vacation. We were traveling, went to various places in Europe. So, when they moved in, you know, we were kind of in the middle of that, so we didn't really have a open opportunity
So this is
to be able to
more
do that.
of the first kind of time that you guys are really having some kind of connection or relationship at all.
Interaction at all.
Interaction at all.
It was
Gotcha.
when she approached me in my driveway, and I was running late for work. You know, I sit on the chair board of directors for my company that I work for. So you know, when I'm late, it's not like I'm on salary, so it's not like I'm gonna be penalized for being late. It's more that if I'm running late, then what I have to do is being held up, and that holds up other people. So if I'm running late, you know, obviously my first objective is to get to work.
Right.
You know,
And this was your first interaction ever with Shabnam here. Would you say?
Yeah.
One of your first, or one of your early
Yeah.
interactions?
You know, besides the occasional hello, how's it going?
Right.
Welcome to the neighborhood. You know,
Right.
when I believe when they were viewing the house, I believe they made a visit. It was like I saw their car in the driveway a couple of times
Right.
as the sale was pending and whatnot. So you know, we definitely when I was out front, I definitely waved hello. But other than you know the occasional greeting, you know, we haven't really had an interaction.
Right.
Besides her approaching me, you know, kind of rambling on about her children's well-being, and you know, kind of making it seem like you know she was calling me a pervert, and she had never called me that until now.
Right.
And I really don't. I'm struggling to understand how what I'm choosing to do with my wife is perverted. You know, like I mentioned
Okay,
before,
well-
we're doing it in a very safe and logical way. It's not like we're just taking off clothes and running outside in the middle
So
of
how,
the day.
how does that make you, feel when you hear that someone says, maybe you may be doing it in a perverted way, or which Shabnali mentioned earlier that it may be she said that you might be doing it intentionally. And how does that make you, feel, being that you've been there for a long time in your neighborhood, and you have neighbors that may feel that you're doing something intentionally, or you're not looking out for their well-being of their children, or how does that make you feel?
I feel like when we invested initially, the plan was to design our backyard in a way that's going to make sure that we have the maximum amount of privacy. That was our intention. That's why we have a privacy screen. That's why we have a fence. That's why there's landscaping around the yard. This is not
So you
basic.
feel you put a lot of effort, work, money into your backyard, so you deserve to have time to enjoy there?
I mean, deeper than that, she's simply describing it as though we're not aware that other people can or have the potential to look into our backyard, and that's not the case at all. When I initially approached my wife about it, that was her concern, and then when I broke it down to her logically, hey, if the sun is setting and it's getting kind of dark, it's getting kind of cold, it's not going to affect us. We have a hot tub, so we're gonna be comfortable. But if we're doing it in a way that's conscious of other people and what they could or could not be doing, I feel like it's appropriate. I've never seen a hot tub in their backyard, so I can only assume that they have cold water in their backyard, in their pool, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to be outside playing in a pool when it's getting cold. The wind picks up in our side of town when the sun goes down, regardless of whether it's 115, 120 degrees. When the sun starts to go down, the wind starts to pick up. So anybody that's cold is not going to want to be outside. That's logical.
So the bottom line you are expressing is that you expected to be in your backyard in your own privacy, right?
Yeah, and what it sounds to me is though we're being kind of spied on and harassed.
Okay, so you feel like a little disrespect and violation of your privacy?
It's a big violation. And I'm keeping very calm because I'm here for a solution. Like I said, this was a big investment. We've lived here 10 years. We're very close to paying off our mortgage, and we just invested another $30,000 into our backyard. So it's safe to say that we're going to be here. I plan on raising my family here when I do decide to have kids. So we're going to
So
be
you're here for the long run?
we're here for the long run. And then that's one issue, and then as well as the second issue of us having parties. Again, we have never ever had a party and deemed it acceptable for people to be completely nude. I think that's outlandish. I think that's a little over dramatic.
So what would your definition of a party be?
Well, my parties that I have is close friends that I've known since my college days. My wife and I have known. A lot of them are also married.
How many people would you say attend a party?
I have about 6 or 7 close friends. They're all married, and they definitely bring their spouses through.
And
So it's
loud
like
music, loud talking.
12 people, and then I have a couple other friends, single friends that like to come by as well. We have a barbecue.
Do you ever inform your neighbors before these parties, or do they just kind of occur?
No, it just kind of occurs. Just kind of, it'll be like a football game on, a basketball game on. We'll have a couple people over. They'll watch the game, we'll barbecue, and then a couple more people show up after the game. We like I said, my wife and I travel, and I sit on the chair of the board of directors. So we do make a pretty good amount of money. So we like to host, and we like to have our friends over. Everybody struggled in college, and I was fortunate enough to get the job that I got thanks to my wife. I wouldn't be where I was without her. So because of that, we like to host, and we like to invite our friends over. In addition to having, this expensive backyard, we want to show it off. We want people to enjoy it. So that's our intention. When we have a party, it's like, 15, maybe 20 people at the maximum. Maximum is 20 people, and they're all, very close friends. It's a very intimate kind of party. It's not like there's random people, that are there. You know, everybody knows each other by name. Everybody knows each other's professions. You know, it's not like we're just kind of open invite, anybody can come. Like that's, you know, we're a little bit older. You know, we don't really do that kind of thing anymore. So you know, that as far as the parties go, that's how it goes. It's not very loud music. You know, we don't bring the speakers outside. We only play music inside the house. So if anything, you know, it's just adults getting a little, you know, tipsy, because, you know, that's what happens. We generally do it on a Friday night or Saturday night, and, you know, maybe there's loud talking or, you know, jokes telling, laughing, you know, arguing, you know, whatever.
But
whatever may
nothing
happen.
that would maybe disturb any other neighbors around, you'd say.
You know, if somebody else, I always put myself in the position of, if I was, excuse me, if my neighbor was me, you know, what's acceptable?
Right.
What can be deemed acceptable? You know, what's going to violate, you know, my own boundaries? And obviously, you know, a party that goes until like 1, 2 a.m. where we're outside, you know, talking and, you know, playing loud music, you know, that's never really what we want to do. Yeah, the parties might go a little late,
Right.
but we usually turn off the music if it's past like 11:30, and we still intend on enjoying our hot tub, because again, you know, we have a hot tub and a sauna, so it's like, you know, people go from the hot tub, hop in the sauna, you know, go back to the hot tub, you know, whatever it may be. And, you know, that may go a little bit later, but it's not like we're playing music or we have like a DJ or, you know, we're hype or it's like a con. You know, it's not like that at all. So, you know, it's just at the end of the day, it's very, I feel very violated, and I feel, you know, I don't even want to tell my wife about this. This is very, very embarrassing. It was already hard enough. Not really hard enough, but it was already challenging enough to try to convince her that, you know, we would be okay, we would be safe.
Right.
And, you know, at this point, having spent the money we spent, you know, to be able to have what
So
we have.
safe, you mean like financial security?
No, that's not the case at all. Safe is in, we're allowed to enjoy what we want to enjoy in a space where we're not being judged, we're not being viewed, we're not being prosecuted.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I feel like I'm being prosecuted by somebody for. I'm still trying to figure out what it's for. You know,
Right.
it's not very clear. You know, it's like it's almost as if you know, she's like our parents, and we did something bad. You know, we took a cookie from the cookie jar, and now we
So you
have to
feel
sit on
like you're
timeout.
being reprimanded?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, and then for her to put a no nudity allowed children present sign out is very concerning. It's very disrespectful. It is, you know, over dramatic. Kind of like her account of, you know, what happened or how it's happened is just blown out of proportion, completely over dramatic. Like I said, no other neighbor has complained. So the fact that, you know, she put that sign out,
Right.
you know, we're a very affluent neighborhood. You know, a lot of professionals, everybody's college educated. You know, everybody has a degree. You know, whether it's from, you know, West Coast, East Coast, South, North of America. You know, we all are very educated people.
So your definition of affluent neighborhood would be a college-educated neighborhood?
When I say affluent and college educated, I mean that we are affluent as in we are all working professionals. We are all, you know, 5-10 years into our career. We all, you know, in order to get into our career, we had to go and get a college degree, a 4-year degree.
Here they all have the same kind of standard of living, or how would you describe that?
Same standard of living, as in, you know, we all are professionals. We all work 9 to 5s. We're all college educated, so we're very aware of what goes on. And for, you know, a sign like that to be posted, it raises a lot of questions. You know, like I said, we're all college educated, so the first thing we do is we all ask questions. You know, hey, why is this out here? What's going on? What's the situation? And I feel as though, you know, because that sign is out and our privacy is being violated or we're being spied on, you know, I feel as though you know, instead of this being like an issue that, you know, her and I can handle, or we can handle as just neighbors, it's now going to include the whole neighborhood. When we have a neighborhood watch meeting, you know, I also sit on the board of directors for our neighborhood watch. So like I said, I've been here 10 years, and I plan on being here for a very long time. So, you know, the safety of this neighborhood is my concern. Eventually, I will have kids, so, you know, I want to make sure that everybody, you know, understands what's
Do
going
you want
on.
your kids to go through what I'm going through? Would you want them to be exposed?
I mean, you said
to
your kids haven't viewed
see-
anything, so what are they going through?
They haven't viewed anything?
That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are they
Makes
going
you
through?
think that they're not gonna be able to
Okay,
see
well-
it when I've already seen it
Well,
twice?
Darryl, I think you got said a lot of great things here. You know, thank you for sharing there. So make sure you know, Sean, I see you've been thinking about this a little bit after hearing Devin's side. You know, tell me how this makes you feel. How are you feeling after hearing his side of the story?
Just trying out my thoughts because otherwise I just feel like screaming. I
Right.
think that I don't really agree with most of what he said. I think that it's hard to describe exactly how I could feel without being extremely rude, because I don't want to turn into this name calling person, but I do feel that he is very privileged. You know, I work extremely hard for my money. Extremely
We
hard.
all work hard.
Yeah, but when it comes to privilege, it didn't come as easy as it may have come for you, in the sense that I experienced more difficulty and
What's your definition of difficulty?
difficulty.
Okay, let's,
Yeah,
you can write down your thoughts so we can give her uninterrupted time to speak.
Sure. Let me
I
grab
wanna
a piece
start
of
with-
paper.
Oh,
Right.
we provided you with paper. Pencil.
Thank you.
I want to start with saying that when it comes to my children, nothing is really gonna happen that is against their safety and that also includes their emotions. So, in regards to how I feel about what he said, he can't think that he can do whatever he wants in his own home and think that I'm just gonna be able to just sit back and watch it. It's not gonna happen. So, I want to talk about a few points.
Sorry, it's kind of in a big room here, so if you could speak up a little louder there.
Okay. So, when it comes to this is the part that really got me. So, when it comes to talking about college education, you have to understand that my kids are going through a phase in their life where I have to be responsible for educating them. And then that includes talking about society. We live in a society where nudity outside in public is not allowed. I understand that. In his home though, when he's not being able to respect that there are children outside, that is what's really alarming to me. I don't think that his college education really has come to a point where he doesn't understand basic common courtesy. You don't need a degree for that, number one. Number two, I've worked very hard to live in that neighborhood just as much as he probably has. And in regards to that sign was put in place because there was no removing the barrier that I feel he had set up after we had our conversation. When I told him I don't want my kids being exposed to the nudity and indecencies that's happening in your backyard. Because
So this is just more of like a sign that making more aware that you were
Yes.
seeing what was going on.
And not only that, in regards to him being aware of what he's doing, but it really comes down to making sure that, you know, perhaps the neighbor next to him on the other side, or the front or the back, those homes, that they're aware, because they've been blocked, that they're aware of, you know, perhaps if they have small children, that if the small children go and peer into his backyard, that they will see him fully naked. And again, he doesn't understand that I don't understand why he's fully naked.
Okay, so
Yes, I understand that him and his wife have a strong bond. You don't think I have a strong bond with my husband? I have 2 freaking kids. He has 0 kids. You don't think we have a bond? Our bond is 3 times as strong because of our 2 children. And he doesn't understand understand that this is about making sure that we all can do whatever we want in our home, have fun, as he said, but it doesn't mean that it will affect the lifestyle of other people and the comfort level of other people. That's what I'm really getting at. And this goes even beyond my own comfort level. This goes about what my kids will be exposed to. I have a right to have my kids be living and playing in a backyard where they can do and run around as they please without having to see something that is really inappropriate.
Okay, so you feel like, first, that the college education has nothing to do with the fact of being nude in your backyard or not.
Yeah, you
And
don't need a college
second-
education to read that degree.
Okay,
That's
so-
like basic high school,
And
junior
second,
high
you
even.
expressed that other neighbors should be aware of this issue as well, just in case they have kids because
Yeah,
of
we
what you
have
have
neighborhood crime watch, and I know this is not perhaps a legal crime, yet, but yeah, I do think that I am expressing something that it's really exciting me, and I want my other
And
neighbors to know
your
about
final
it.
point is that you feel it's kind of like a violation of your rights to have your children play in your own backyard freely without you having to worry about what they
Yeah.
might see.
And I don't see any empathy from him at all when it comes to my
So that's
children.
the
Yeah.
fourth
In fact,
concern
all I
then.
see is white privilege sharing with me that
Let's
my wife and I went to
refrain from
college.
labeling or any name
My
calling.
wife and I went to
We understand how you
college.
feel.
My wife and I have a strong bond. Like, that's all bullshit. Like, okay, I have a strong bond with my husband. Do you see me?
Yeah,
do
I
you
think
naked outside in my
from
backyard?
what we've
No, I
heard,
don't do that.
we
No, you don't understand. There are 2 young children involved in this situation. What has he said that has validated his actions?
Okay, we'll go
Nothing.
back to address the concerns,
ahead.
but from what I see here, for both of you, there's a lack of respect for one another.
Yeah, I feel very, very disrespected as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a homeowner. What makes him think that he can have more comfort in his own home than I can in mine? What?
Thank
Why?
you.
What is the need for being naked outside in your own backyard? You have a hot tub, great. Wear boxers and go outside and, sit in your damn hot tub. Do you not understand there are kids outside there? What has he said that makes me feel like, wow, he really understands what I'm talking about? Not only what he's just said in this room, I tried to talk to him outside, face to face. Just small talk, and then what? I really do think that what we're not discussing is the fact that he doesn't respect my conservative beliefs, doesn't respect how my family and I are living, and I could probably speak for the whole neighborhood that he does not respect the neighbors that we are all, living by, because he doesn't respect my house, my home, which is right next to him, who makes me think he'll care about what's going on 5 blocks down.
And you believe the disrespect comes from the fact that he is,
He's not religious like I am, he's not conservative
Okay.
like I am. There's prejudice definitely that I'm feeling from him, and I just am so angry.
So essentially, what would you like to see happen?
There's
Maybe.
nothing that will make me more happier than seeing my kids run out and play the backyard again without me having to worry, is there some kind of sexual activity going on next door? Is Devin walking around naked? Is his wife walking around naked? Is something gonna happen? I mean, we're all adults here, we know what happened. This is not some kind of like Las Vegas hotel, I mean, this is a home. I live in a home, he lives in a home. I'm not asking for nothing to happen inside the house. Do whatever you want, but be aware that there are people in the backyard that will see you. There are children that will see you. These are young, small kids. What on earth does he think is gonna, happen when my kids see it? And think that they're just gonna be like, oh, normal day. No.
So ultimately, there's a lack of respect for your child's well-being.
Yes.
And, okay, we hear
Emotional
your
state,
concerns.
You're damn right. I'm gonna make sure my kids are,
Of course.
at that house. I work just as hard at the house. Yeah, he remodeled his house. I paid, so much for my house. And I want them to be able to swim freely, run freely, do whatever they want. And
So
I don't-
just
yeah.
to pause and look at both of your
yeah,
concerns. One of the ones is you both feel you put a lot of money and effort into the reconstruction of both of your homes. Therefore, you both feel like you should be able to enjoy that construction and money and effort you both put into the renovation
yeah,
of
I'm
each
really
of your
fearing
homes. There's a
that
lack
my
of
kids will
respect
witness it.
for each of your privacies.
Okay, Devin, I just want to ask, so, you see the importance, you know, for Shabnam to hear about her children, you know, being able to feel safe in their own backyard and, feel like they're able to run freely around. You know, I know you don't have any kids yourself. Do you, or what do you kind of think towards that? Do
So
you,
you don't have kids, you don't understand what it's like when you're trying to protect your kids.
well, you know, like I said,
From
two different points of, you know, your life, you know, your, where you started your family and, you know, so maybe there's different points of concerns or, different priorities that are set, you know, or what do you, how are you feeling after learning, you know, that her kids may have, you know, viewed you in the nude, so.
I mean, you just said it yourself, may have,
Right.
and as she's, you know, specifically said, they never did view, she was the one that viewed.
So I have to wait until someone, you
So
know.
let me take a step back, because she said a couple of things that I actually want to address, just so we can kind of be on the same page. So I think there's a lot of assumptions that are going on here. There's a lot of stereotyping that's going on. So before we get to the issue of me choosing to be naked with my wife, I just want to clear a couple of things up, because
Public indecency, 2 words.
I mean, I'm not sure that it's
Devin,
public if it's in my
It is
backyard.
public because I can see it in your backyard.
Right. When you're choosing to stand on your balcony or peer through my fence.
No, if
then
I'm
you can
passing
see
by
it.
and I
Let's
see a
have some
gap and I see a
interrupted
crack
time.
and I see it, that means it's in the
Uninterrupted
public and I can see it.
Right.
They're
But it's
causing
also-
me emotional distress, and I'm not gonna wait until my kids see that, but I can prevent that from happening. I'm gonna protect my children.
Right, right. But
Let's
your children are
just write
outside,
down-
because I've chosen to be nude when it's dusk, when the sun is going down, and
In
that's
summer,
the only
the sun goes
time.
down at like 9:30 p.m., 9
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah, and that's when I choose
supposed
to
to keep
go
them
outside
outside?
and nude and be nude. Are they choosing to be in the pool when it's cold? Because I'm only in my hot
Okay,
tub
so
when it's
it's
cold.
clear that you both have different distinctions of what is late and what is appropriate time to be using the pool because of different lifestyles. Clearly, Shabnam has young children at young ages that have school in the morning. You and your wife may have, you know, work some days, works not on other days, so maybe you stay up later some nights than others. So we'll just acknowledge that there is a difference in the time frame of using the backyard between the both of you, and we'll
Yeah.
just
Okay, well, there's a couple of things that she said that I wanted to address.
okay.
Like I
and we'll
said
give you
before-
that chance right now, uninterrupted. And Shabnam, if you have any concerns, if you can please write them down so you don't forget them or we don't look over them and we're able to address them.
So
When
she
it's
said,
your
yeah,
turn
she
to
said
speak.
something that was like I said, there was a stereotype that was tossed around that was actually highly offensive and also highly inaccurate. She mentioned that, you know, me and my wife we kind of live under this white privilege umbrella,
Okay.
that and that's how we carry ourselves. She also, you know, kind of alluded to the fact that, you know, we were given the things that we have and we didn't work for them. And that's actually not true at all. We actually worked, you know, as hard as she had. I don't want to say harder because I don't know her personally and I don't know her career. I don't know what it took to get
So we
there.
can acknowledge you both worked an amount of effort and hard work to get to where you both are at in your homes as being homeowners and investments and renovations.
Yeah, and you know, she kind of, like I said, she threw around white privilege. She also threw around the fact
Well, if you
that,
don't respect someone else's background,
I mean, that's
lifestyle.
racist. That's racist for you to say white privilege.
Okay, let's
I think
just
it's racist
refrain
of you to
from the
think that
labeling
my-
and name
So not, I
calling.
think it's wrong. I think it's racist when you don't acknowledge the fact that, hey, let me respect this person's, you know, what she's saying. Like when I went and talked to you that day outside and I said everything that I was feeling. I vented out all of my frustrations. I came at you in a respectable manner. I did not curse.
I mean,
I wasn't
you're very
physical.
rude. And
How was I rude?
you didn't approach me and say, hey, do you have a second to talk? And I
said
would have
have
told you, hey,
I
I'm-
did not
I'm-
have a second. I had to go to. No.
I would have
I
said,
did
hey,
say, you know, if you feel like I'm being, you know, aggressive, because even then you said I was being aggressive, I said, why don't we talk about it at a later time when you have, you know, time?
when you initially approached me,
And
I
I
felt
said
you were
instead
kind
of,
of
like, did you reach
aggressive.
out to me afterwards and say, let's
You
continue
know,
the conversation?
I didn't feel comfortable.
You didn't feel comfortable.
Just like I don't
Just
feel
like I don't feel
comfortable.
comfortable in my own home, right?
But I don't feel comfortable right now when we're face to face having a conversation. The issue has already passed.
They should
And-
have to pass because I know it'll happen again. In
You're
fact,
right.
I'm opening about my
You're
side
right.
because you disagree with my
What's
side.
what are
Do you
your
think it's appropriate for you to see, for children to see you naked?
I mean, like I
And
was
your
saying,
wife?
I want to get back to my
Would you want
point
your
that
wife?
I was talking about.
I mean, you know, I'll have guests.
About my
I'm
background.
talking.
Because like I said, they had mentioned that it was
No,
my turn
no.
to share, and when you were talking, I didn't say
All right, I'll
anything.
go ahead and give you
So
3
I'd like to-
minutes.
I'd like to be able to address what you
I
said.
as well.
I mean, have you been interrupted this whole time?
I feel like when you're not listening to me,
Well, let's make sure. Let's just do this. So there's a lot of points that have been brought up right now, and we want to make sure we get a chance to address all of them. So, Devin, you know, I'd like you to finish. You know, what you were talking about. And then we'll,
I'd appreciate it, and maybe her viewpoint will change when she learns that my wife runs a daycare. That's something that she
Oh
does.
my God.
So it's like
you're a wife.
we work around children. I'm also the oldest of 6 kids. I have 5 younger siblings. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. So I grew up in a family atmosphere. So I think that's something that she didn't know.
So you can understand the importance of
I do understand. I do understand where her concern's coming from, and I think that because of how I live now, and how I choose to spend my money, and the fact that I don't have kids, she has jumped to the assumption that I've always been like this, and that I haven't struggled in my life, and that I'm on this pedestal. Like that's how I feel like she views me as on a pedestal, and that's how I carry myself, and that's not the case at all.
Right.
So I want to get to the point where she can see that we're both human beings, and we both we both work for where we're at. We both
And that is a commonality
Yeah.
between the two of you.
and I'm a family man at the end of the day. I am. So when
Okay, so I
And
believe we
how
can
is it
say
family?
both of you feel strongly about your families.
she also mentioned she wants a common courtesy. I don't think that it's common courtesy for somebody to be on their balcony spying on me. And I don't know how her
What do you mean common courtesy? You just
She said it's a common it should be a common courtesy that I don't walk around nude.
No, I didn't say common courtesy in regards to walking nude in the context that you can't do that in your own home. I think it's courteous to have a respect towards public decency, where if you know that there are people around that can, I share with you, I can see you, that, you may take, precautions to not let that happen again. But did you take precautions? No, we didn't do anything. In fact, we never took initiative to come and talk to me at a later time. This has escalated to where we are today. And you're gonna sit here and tell me you're a family man when you don't have respect for my family
tell me a little bit after.
and my children?
Well, let's see what after you learned the fact that that Shabnam was able to view you in your backyard, nude. What did you do after that? Was it something that that concerned you? Were you bothered by it, or after you learned that, what was going through your head?
Well, I was initially upset that we were being viewed at all, because I felt like we were very cautious about how we designed our area so that we have the maximum amount of privacy. So I felt very violated. But the first step that I took, and that was the initial step that I took when my wife and I decided to do this, was to just be more cautious. Kind of do what we do at a time or in a space where you look outside and you don't hear any kids, we don't hear anybody in their backyard. It's like it's pretty easy to know if your neighbor's in your backyard because you're able to hear them talking.
So see, that's what I'm talking about. What did you just say? Can you repeat what you just said?
I said that you're able to hear your neighbors if they're in their backyard.
You can hear the neighbors if they're in the backyard. So you knew that day that my kids were swimming in that pool.
Well, we did mention that that was the first occurrence.
But he knew that they were swimming.
But maybe
And
you
he
knew
was
that they're
still
swimming,
walking around naked, and his wife were still walking around naked, but my kids were
Well,
in that
I
pool.
think from what we said earlier was that that was the first occurrence, the first time that you had viewed that he was naked, and maybe Devin, you didn't know that he was able to be viewed from his fins. So maybe it was just maybe something you were unaware of it. You were unaware that you were able to be viewed there.
Completely unaware.
I think it is
You know what,
possible.
I give him that.
It is
So I give
possible
him
it would have, you acknowledge that it is possible it
I
had been an
acknowledge
accident
that
you
perhaps
were
he
able
didn't
to
know
see
that I
him
was
through
gonna
the
see
fence.
him, but what about the fact that when I went and told him that I saw you, that
Right.
nothing
But that was
changed?
after the fact.
Right, but nothing changed. When I went and I talked to him, nothing changed.
Right.
So you
It
saw
wasn't
him.
like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
Did I hope your kids didn't see me. I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, oh, I know you. I know how you're trying to. I know how that could be uncomfortable.
Right.
And they're trying to make sure this it doesn't happen again. But no, instead, it blew up in my face. He didn't want to even talk about it. You know.
But we also as see here as a parent, obviously you're concerned with you luckily caught it before your kids did.
Exactly.
And you wanted to make sure that
But
they were
exactly.
safe.
I
there,
luckily caught it before my kids did. I mean,
But-
and that's not a guarantee because
right, because you
I don't know
already
if
done
my-
it before
I
you're
don't-
not sure. Right. Well, the one thing I
I
really
don't know if my
appreciate
kids
here.
have already seen
Right.
it.
Well,
I
listen,
don't know.
will admit
But the
that
thing
the
is that
day-
you two actually understand that in regards to awareness, it plays a factor into yes, maybe my kids haven't seen it yet, maybe they
I
have.
believe
But
I
now that
remember the
I'm
day
telling
that
you
she's-
that I am, that
Well,
you
we'll
should,
see- we'll
no,
see.
but
So
you should be
here-
aware that I told you that I saw you.
Right.
But you don't
so
think you're doing
this is
anything
what it
wrong.
sounds like
Doesn't
to
think
me
you're doing
here.
anything
I
wrong.
just want to make sure it's have it straight. The first day, the occurrence, the events happened. You went over and spoke to him, and said that you were able to view it. Devin, you did say that you and your wife tried to, maybe push it back to a later time or a time that's more
Because
appropriate.
like I said,
Okay.
we're only naked when we're going in our hot tub, and we get in the hot
Yeah,
tub
but even
when
if you
it's
push it
cold.
back to a later time, there's still a lot of noise, there's music playing, there's food being
Right.
cooked, there's like,
I
and
think
it
that-
happens often, and it
I
does
think
happen
that- I
often,
think
don't
that us-
lie.
I think that us being nude
Don't
and
lie,
then
Devin.
us choosing to throw parties are two completely separate
Yeah, well, you're
things,
doing both.
right?
You're
Because when
doing
we,
both.
when we,
He's acknowledging that.
when we choose when my wife and I choose to
defensive.
enjoy our hot tub, however we choose to enjoy it, it's in a space where there's nobody else around, where it's a comfortable temperature to be nude in a hot tub. So obviously the sun is going down.
I'm
There's
so
wind. There's
confused.
wind blowing.
What do you mean by
Um,
temperature?
Well, I wouldn't go and get in my hot tub if it's over 90
Right.
degrees.
Right,
And
but I saw you walking around, and I didn't see you naked. in the
I was
bathtub.
I was trying to get to that, but you were interrupting me. So you might find that if you let me talk instead of being aggressive and interrupting me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why when you approached me, I didn't want to talk to you.
I'm
Imagine if- now imagine if I come
wish
up to
you
you,
had
right?
this attitude when I
Imagine
approached you.
imagine
and you
if
didn't shut
imagine
your
if
mouth and not interrupt me then.
imagine if I
How about
approach
that?
you. Imagine
No,
if
but
I approach
there's
you.
no imagination. I approached you.
Okay,
I
let's-
saw
let's
you.
get
But I'm
level.
saying in my
But I
in
approached
my-
you and I talked to you
I
about
mean,
my children.
I can get aggressive,
about
but
the
I'm not
protection
here to
of
be
my children.
aggressive with you. I'm here to
I'm
come
not
to a
trying to be
solution.
aggressive. I'm not
You're being
aggressive.
aggressive right
You're
now.
not with me that
Like, I
way.
can be-
We both
be
acknowledge
aggressive.
we're here to reach some kind of conversation or
This is the
agreement
disrespect
so
that I-
that we don't have
that
to
I
move
know.
forward.
I mean, if
I-
anything, I feel like
I
I'm being
disrespect.
disrespected
We don't
because
wanna
every
move
time I try to
forward.
talk,
Talk
I'm
to
being
me.
interrupted.
I'm a
As
woman.
you-
That's
as you
why
can
my
see.
husband's not here today. I'm here today. This is why
You are
think that
both
can talk to me like
representing
this.
your families.
And
There's
it's not right at all, and I'm not gonna put up with it.
I mean,
really
I
won't
don't
put up with it.
understand
I
how
would not let my
talking
kids.
to you-
No one wants to see him
Because-
naked.
because again, you're just
All of
like-
my kids.
you're
I
just-
would
let's
not to be
let's just
exposed
go
to it.
back
I
to
refuse to let
the
it
fact that
happen.
we both of you feel disrespected in this situation, and let's move forward from that. So, Devin, how do you feel disrespected just by the fact that
Right now, I feel
you
disrespected
weren't
for
aware that you could be viewed, and
right.
then you found out that you
Right.
could be viewed, and
That's
that
the first.
changes things.
Right. That's the first time I
Okay.
feel disrespected. I feel disrespected with her overall demeanor, her tone of voice, her body language, the words that she's choosing to use. Right. Right now is a very toned down version of how she approached me in my driveway. And like I said, I'm a professional. So if people choose to let their emotions control their interactions with me, I choose to remove myself
Okay.
from the situation because people
What's
don't
your
think straight when they're
definition
on.
of professional?
Professional is how, you know, I'm choosing to talk, how you guys are choosing to talk, and how she chooses to talk when she's sharing her story.
Like, so
Un-
calm, collected.
Calm, collected, talking in turn,
Okay.
not interrupting, not
I have
talking
been
over
like that
people.
throughout this entire. I don't understand why it's giving
like-
me a
like
synopsis
right
of this
now.
conversation when I have been doing that
I
this
do
entire
understand this is a
conversation.
very
There's
sensitive
only so
topic.
much I
it's,
will take as a mother, you know, and I don't understand how this is all not coming down to what is really the issue at hand. He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
Yeah, so
Can you really just take a moment to understand how I'm feeling? I don't
We
feel
do.
like I am, you know, like I feel like I'm talking
No,
to all of
we
these
feel
balls. Like I
that
don't think
you-
that I am getting my point across to him, and I don't think he cares. Doesn't
No.
my children are nothing to him. He doesn't care. Doesn't care about the well-being of my family. About the when I'm telling you that my home almost feels like a prison, that should set up a huge red flag. Like, am I being a bad
Yeah.
neighbor?
So you
What am I
feel
doing?
your home feels like a prison, he feels like there's a violation. In both senses, there's a sense of disrespect. So in order to resolve the disrespect, we must see how we can move forward and if there's any way that you two can come to respect each other in a way.
Or what kind of actions or what would you like to be seen done by Devin, you know, to make you feel a little more comfortable, make you feel like you're respected, make you feel safe in your own home? What kind of you know, things would you like to see?
I think that the rules of public decency in regards to walking outside, and you will get arrested or taken in, or I'm not sure. I've never done it. I'm not sure.
I mean, if
exactly
we're
what
talking
happened.
about being arrested, I mean, I
I'm
feel
not
like,
gonna
I
stop
feel like,
you.
I feel like,
I'm not
Well,
gonna show you.
let's
I'm not
we'll make sure
gonna
Shad
show
not
you.
has a chance
Yes.
to speak here.
I wanted to,
Uh,
before I was rudely interrupted by a hypocrite who said that I was interrupting
Right,
him, but that's
refrain from
neither here or there, I
being
guess.
calm.
I want to, I want the same level of respect to the law that happens when, you know, you get arrested. If we are walking around nude, it's not lawful. I want that same concept, if not lawful degree, I want that same concept of public decency respected in my neighborhood.
Okay, so the law is, you know, there's no nudity in public, is that what you're claiming?
I think that the concept around that law is for everyone to be comfortable. when it
Okay,
comes
but
to
would you
things
claim that
we don't wanna see
his
nude.
backyard is a public space?
I think that when, yeah, absolutely. I think that when someone else could see into your backyard, you
It
know,
should be deemed public.
absolutely, it should be deemed a public space because I can publicly see you.
Mhm.
I don't know in regards to the parameters of what, you know, obviously I can't control what's happening.
Mhm.
I can't control that. But that's why I'm here today, to say that I can see you, my children can see you, because something happened, that we can change this.
Mhm.
Because you don't see me doing stuff outside of my husband outside, you know, naked, because I have a respect for people, I have a respect for my kids, not just my family, but my neighbors. No one does this except him.
So you feel through enjoying his backyard and being nude in his backyard and doing what he
Yeah,
does, it is disrespectful to your household. Okay, is there anything I missed?
I think, I mean, there's just,
Does that fully express your concern?
yeah, I, you know, it just bothers me, so when I'm trying to think
Yeah,
how I
we
feel
understand.
about, like the backyard, talking about like temperature, makes me laugh, because I'm like, what for trying to do with my kid, seeing you naked? If you're not in a hot tub, you're walking around like when I saw you walking around, like why do you think that's okay?
Okay.
And why the necessity for being nude outside? If you want to bond with your wife, go inside. There's neighbors, we can see you. And I think this is when I talked about the, you know, the prejudice, is that I am a very conservative person. I have always had the utmost respect for my neighbors. When it comes to parties, I would leave a note on everyone's door. I'm having a gathering. I have a big family coming from this time. They're coming from this time to this time. They might take some parking. Like, I would always try to be accommodating in regards to giving respect the way I would hope to be respected from my neighbors.
So you would say the definition of being a respectful neighbor is treating others the way you would wish to be treated?
Absolutely.
Could we agree on this definition, Devin, that being a respectful neighbor is treating others the way you would like to be treated?
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's another agreement we have here.
And on that note, I don't like how to be treated.
So I think we both feel, both parties feel disrespected and are not happy with the way things are being handled.
Yeah.
It's another thing we agree on. Good.
Do you think that will change?
It's up to you guys.
Well, let's see here. After hearing, the concerns that Sheldon has expressed, what kind of actions, maybe, do you think you'll take, in the future to make sure, that you're being, that you're able to, maintain your own privacy in your own home, you're able to feel safe in your own home, do the things with your wife that you'd like to, but as well as make sure that Shabnam feels like that she's okay and that her kids are, that they're safe and they're not exposed to anything too early or anything that she wouldn't want to expose them to on her own. What kind of what would you like to do? What are things that you would do to make sure that you're able to still go out freely and do things that you want to do, as well as kind of not step over those certain boundaries?
I felt like I was already given the setting, given the precautions that my wife and I took. We already felt like we were doing the maximum effort. She mentioned that she laughed when I talked about the temperature, and she doesn't understand, what that has to do with, me being nude. And I wanted to just explain that a little bit more in detail. So when we choose to be nude, like I said, it's when the sun goes down, it's when it's even colder outside. So logically speaking, if it's cold outside, then you wouldn't want your children to be outside. Can we agree? Is that something that everybody can agree with?
Well, not necessarily that, because even if it is cold outside, you're gonna wear a coat. It's summertime, as you mentioned before, so maybe the kids, maybe it's something they want to be outside. So I wouldn't necessarily agree that.
Add to this.
I was wondering, what are some steps that you'll take, and what are some steps that you would take to make sure that Shabnam feels okay? And then we'll hear the same from you.
For me, the steps that my wife and I can take would be to, I guess the first thing is to fill any cracks that are in the fence. That's a pretty big investment. So if she's mentioned that there's cracks in the fence, then that is definitely an issue that I have to bring up with the person who designed the fence. Because, like I said, the fence was designed by me, and it was designed to allow the maximum privacy. So, I wasn't aware that there's cracks in the fence. So, that's the first thing we can do is
Even
make
if
sure
the
that
cracks
those.
are fixed, it doesn't, I don't want to take any risk.
Well,
I feel like if he's comfortable enough to be naked in the backyard, he'll be comfortable enough to go to the front porch.
So tell me your reasons behind that.
I just think that based on the conversation that I had with him, I said, I can see you. He doesn't care.
You think maybe
He's just
that
like-
might have been just the heat of the moment, just.
No, I just
Right.
don't think he doesn't care. I think that he generally doesn't care.
Well, tell me,
that
what do you
I
feel
stand
about
by
that?
my sign. No nudity. Children
Well,
present, children around. No nudity. I mean, and of course I'm not talking about the inside of the home. I'm talking about the outside.
Right.
People around.
Well,
back
could
there in front
we
of the house,
say
wherever.
that? Well, we could say that the backyard is viewed as, I know we said it could be a public, in terms of the fact that you're able to view it. We could say also that it is a private place. It's in his own home. It's still
I
part
think
of
the
his.
way our houses are built, that it's not. I think that I saw him, and I saw him, and I think that if he doesn't take more precautions, like
Right.
I just don't know what my next steps will be.
Right. Well, I do understand it is a very sensitive topic, and obviously, you want to make sure that your kids are safe. You don't want to see that for yourself. Devin, you said that you'll go out of your way to make sure that those cracks are filled.
Yeah, like I said, I was trying to get to, everything that I felt like I could do or change. But I kind of got the stage and the spotlight taken away. But that's what I was saying. That's first and foremost, making sure that my fence is repaired. Like I said, that's a big investment. Also, you know, like I was saying about the temperature and about it being late, you know, I also feel as though, you know, if we take the precaution of making sure that it's, you know, dark and the street lights are on and that the sun is already set before we decide to do what we do, I feel like that's, you know, that's maybe a better, you know, route to take than, you know, maybe we went outside, you know, and we renewed when the sun was out. And I think that might have been the day that she saw us, which is actually the first day that we decided to do it. It's actually quite a coincidence. But I feel like another precaution we can take is to, you know, make sure that, you know, we're not only kind of making sure the coast is clear, but making sure that, you know, in the same sense that it's dark, you know, because I feel like maybe if it's light outside, you know, that there's a chance of people seeing us, and if we take the precaution of making sure it's dark, it's hard to say, because the only way somebody would be able to see me is if they're intentionally looking in my backyard.
But that's not the question. Do you care if someone sees me?
I do care if somebody sees me.
So you do care if children see you as well?
Well, let's say that,
So why didn't you care when I approached you?
well, let's say that because I'm not really.
We talked about.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about you know, obviously this situation. You said you were going to work, and I think you were going to work as well. So maybe the timing was off, the conversation, you know.
And then again, like how her body language is, her tone of voice.
So maybe it was something
is
you
right
felt
now,
like you weren't
like
being
how she's
respected.
acting right now. Like I feel like I'm in a corner, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm having the principal talk down on me.
Right.
You know, you did this,
Okay.
you're bad. That's how her demeanor is towards me right now. That's how it was at the time.
Just
and like I said, I was on my way to work.
Right.
I was also stressed out about other things. I don't know if she had something going on. Maybe she was stressed out. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
I'm
why.
stressed out about my two kids.
Well, let's say so.
That's what I'm stressed out
So
about.
let's talk about this. So when she approached you, you know, her tone, her body language, it felt you felt like that wasn't
It
something.
mirrors how it is now.
Right.
If somebody was coming
So
at
it-
you and I was like talking
No,
to you, like
no.
you see right
That's
here,
a lie.
right
That's
here.
not how I approached it.
Well, that's something we can we'll move past that. You know, maybe like I said before, the two different circumstances, the anger, the frustration. You know, we've been there. So I understand how you guys feel in terms of the fact that I have, you know, too been angered. I've been frustrated as well. So it's really the main thing here. The main points of concerns are, you know, what the steps moving forward that are gonna, you know, what can we do to make sure that these things don't happen. You know, you asked if you cared. You know, I think that maybe you do care. You said earlier that you wanted to make sure that your wife was not.
Well, I mean,
you know,
we, like I said, we invested enough
Right.
to buy a car. You know, a more expensive car that most people can afford
Oh yeah, right.
on our backyard, on
Right.
our privacy screen, on our fence, on our landscaping.
Right.
So obviously, we care if people see us nude.
Right.
But in the same breath, the only way you're going to see us nude is if you are intentionally either peering through our fence, peering
Right.
over our fence, or on your balcony looking into our backyard.
Right.
So as much as, you know, we don't have an intention of being seen, it takes somebody with the intention of seeing us
Right.
to see us. It's not like you're just
that's
gonna.
That's not the case.
It's not
There's
like
no
you're just
intention
gonna.
of me seeing him. I don't want to see him.
Right.
I don't
You're
want to see him. I
concerned.
don't.
Right.
No, but if I were to pass by and see the gaps, see the cracks, and I saw it, then he could see it.
Right.
There's nothing. There's no.
Well,
you
well,
talk
well, let's
about
touch on this
intention here.
part.
I saw it.
Right.
I'm not lying.
Right. We don't want to accuse you of lying. I believe you, and I believe Devin as well. So the main thing here is that, you know, you saw something. You wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be seen again by either you or your husband or your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't
Right.
want to risk my
Right.
children.
Devin
Him or his
was-
wife naked, and
Right.
not only that, but to engage in other activities. And
Right.
the hot tub that he's so, protective of.
Right. Well, tell me this. How does this?
Is it okay
How
if
does this
I
make
take a
you,
break to go to the restroom real quick? Is that okay? If it's like a
Yeah, of
2-minute
course.
intermission? Is that cool?
Feel free to go to the
I'll run to the
restroom.
restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Do you need to use the restroom or anything, Sheldon?
No.
Sure.
Well, when Devin gets back down to the cracks, I think they'll have to fill in, the timing of when he decides to, go out with his, wife.
Don't come to the timing of when the
Right.
kids are asleep.
Right.
Sorry, thank you for letting me take your interview.
So just wanted to touch on these last of the points here, just to see, Devin, you mentioned, some steps that that you would take, to kind of, make sure that Shabnam feels comfortable, her and her family are safe, as well as make sure that you and your family are feeling comfortable as well, or that you would go ahead and fill in any possible cracks that are in your fence. Also talked about appropriate timing, when it's dark in a private setting. So Shannon, after hearing, those steps that Devin said that he would be willing to take, and fill in the cracks and the appropriate timing, how do you feel about that? Because I do know here that we both spoke and said that, you've recently moved in, you've been here for a long time. I'm sure you guys are planning on being here for a long time. You guys are going to be neighbors for a while, and that relationship is something that is important, or at least should be a respected relationship. So after hearing, how Devin feels, then obviously we've had some flames, everything spark up, today, and because it is a sensitive topic, what are those adjustments? What are those little tweaks with the fence and the appropriate timing? How does that make you feel? All right, do you feel comfortable with that, or?
I think I'm glad that a little bit of acknowledgement from some of us here that public indecency is not okay. That's, neither for adults, and especially not for children, and even more, specifically my children in my home. But I don't feel that the fence would be the solution. I don't think the fence is a solution because, what if, the fence, I have kids, what if something happens to the fence and they're playing ball or whatever and fences get damaged, termites, animals, anything. I don't think it's the solution.
What would be more of a solution solution that would be something that you feel is a
I
solution?
think what I primarily want out of this specific conflict between him and I is that I want to have full reassurance that there will be no public indecency again. There will be no nudity again in our neighborhood. I don't have to worry ever that this man will be walking outside with his wife naked and engaging in, activities that probably would be better suited in his home.
Right, so no public indecency and
And I don't
and
want
no
any nudity.
nudity
That's why I
in the
made that
neighborhood.
sign, because I want it to be a reminder that, we all live in this neighborhood, not
Right.
just in our homes, but when we're outside, front, back, there are times where we're gonna see each other.
Right,
I'm sure he's seen me gardening, I'm sure he's seen me put, clothes to dry outside on the line, that things happen. We're gonna see each other,
right,
but that respect doesn't leave. That respect should still be there in that proximity, and not just at work or school or wherever,
So you're
in our daily lives. Yeah, it
essentially
needs to
saying,
it needs to constantly be applicable in every sense of
so you're,
location, day, whatever. And I don't think that him and I have that understanding.
okay, so
And I
you're saying
cannot
he
take
needs,
the risk of having my kids be explosive like this, because my kids are very sensitive. My kids and I have a certain, lifestyle that I'm trying to implement in my home, a certain, part of culture that I want them to have, because I feel like it's being attacked right now, and I feel like the luxury of living in my neighborhood has been taken away from me, because he has not understood that, my house is really is like a person. I can't go outside because I'm always worried. I'll see him, my kids will see him, and it's really what I want. I don't want any more nudity in my neighborhood, around my home.
so you're saying you will feel like the only way to resolve or overcome this issue is by being guaranteed that you can go in your backyard and you won't be able to see any
Yeah.
nudity, or the neighborhood won't have any nudity,
Yeah.
nothing on the front porch,
Yeah.
no concerns for your kids, you can let them go outside and
Yeah.
play freely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question. So other than between the cracks of the fence that are there, that I still haven't seen, I don't know where they're at. But besides those cracks, what other way would your kids be able to look
Trees.
into my backyard?
My kids climb trees.
Okay. Do they climb trees after 9 p.m. when the sun
I
goes down?
might, you see my garden, we have fruit trees, we have regular trees, it's a very lush neighborhood, and my kids, I wanna build a tree house there for them. And you would prevent me from doing so, and that's a real concern. I'm not giving them the childhood that I want them to have, that I finally have saved money to have, because that's what they would see.
Right,
It's
but
that tree
you know,
house, all
because
those branches.
because we're neighbors, we obviously both of us intend to live in our homes for a while. You would agree that as neighbors we have to reach some sort of compromise, because you want something, I want something, we both paid to have our respective spaces. So in the same breath, we both paid to do what we want in our property, right? See, if I take the same approach as you're taking, and it's a very spearhead, very bulldog, aggressive approach of
I'm not
saying,
aggressive. I've been really peaceful, really quiet. I'm just a mother with 2 kids trying to make sure they have the best life possible.
right, and even though your tone of voice isn't very loud, the directive manner that you're taking.
Yeah, I'm a woman. I can't be directive.
No, I didn't say
I'm
that.
aggressive
That's
about
what you're
directive.
saying.
What is that about?
This is
I feel
aggressive.
attacked.
This is
I feel attacked.
This is
I'm not
aggressive.
gonna sit here quiet while
Please,
you're calling.
let's just refrain from any name calling,
Yeah,
any
let's just refrain.
Right.
accusations.
Right. I mean, and again, back to what I was saying. If I take the same approach as you, and and I say, well, we're gonna be nude all day, every day. That's what we choose to do. How is that gonna reach a solution? Because I came here to find a solution, right? Did you come here to find a solution?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm done.
So
Well,
the only way we're gonna reach a solution is if we both understand each other,
Yeah.
and I understand what you're saying.
Oh, you do understand what I'm
You're
saying.
saying that you have kids and you don't want your kids to see anybody naked. And
Well-
that's why I asked you, is there any other way for them to look into my backyard besides the cracks? You said they might climb the tree, or you might build a tree house. And I said, okay,
Yeah, that's my daughter's tree.
Right.
Tree house.
right, yeah.
On every rent.
I understand that, and it's my wife's dream to have a hot tub, right? So,
Yeah,
like I said,
maybe
we're both, we're
So
both,
another commonality, we both have
No one's saying
dreams
go in the
here.
hot tub. I've never stopped that.
right, but again, I'm asking you, are they going to be climbing the tree or in the tree house when it's dark outside?
You know what? Kids love having sleepovers in the treehouse. They love playing up there, thinking they're friends. I can't tell you exactly what time they'll be up there.
Exactly.
But I don't want to have any restrictions in my home.
You're right, and neither do
When it
I.
comes, no.
You're imposing a restriction on me, am I right?
I'm not, I'm
Am
not
I-
imposing
Is that
any
yes or no?
restrictions that
Yes or
I
no? Yes or no?
No. Let me
So
finish. Let's-
you telling me
let's
that
not
I
raise our
cannot enjoy my backyard in whatever manner I deem acceptable is not a restriction.
Just like you're doing to me, 'cause you're telling me I can't
Okay,
enjoy my backyard.
well, let me
I
see this.
can't enjoy my
I'm gonna see
backyard.
this.
I'm not saying that. You're putting words in my mouth now. You're
No,
putting words in
you're
my
putting words in
mouth.
my mouth.
We're gonna stop
No,
here
I
real
never
fast.
said that.
Shut down then.
I never said that. Hey, this is what you have to do in your house. This is what you can't do. No, let me finish. There
But
are things
you
that
mentioned
no.
mentioned that
Stop.
your solution.
There are
You
things
mentioned that your solution.
Okay,
I'm gonna take your
Yeah,
approach
no,
now because this is the
no,
only way
this
I can
isn't-
communicate with
No
you.
nudity.
Effective
This is right. You said that right. And
Alright,
and
so-
if you say no nudity, is that a restriction?
No.
All right, let's
So that's
bring
not a
this-
restriction.
let's
So
bring
that's
this together.
backwards now.
By the way.
That's backwards.
By the way.
You're
no,
backwards,
no,
right?
Let's
You
bring
said no
that.
nudity.
No, we're both happy
If you
we're
if you
here,
say no
able to
something,
come today.
that means that you're putting a
No.
restriction,
No,
right?
No.
Okay, so
I don't
that's
agree.
not logical. Can
I
you
don't-
explain to
no,
me what a
no,
Let's
restriction
do
is?
this. Let's do this really
No,
fast.
not at
because-
all.
Let's do this really
No.
fast. Okay,
No.
so we touched obviously, we see there's some more attention coming up here. When I asked you about what steps are you gonna take to
I'm
try
not
to make
asking
sure.
any.
Well,
I'm, wait,
well,
hold on,
one
I have to
second
say
here.
this. I'm not telling him things that other people wouldn't agree with me. I bet you if you take a
well,
poll
we
in
can-
that neighborhood,
Well, that's
if you take a poll
that
in
would-
that neighborhood,
that's
nobody
up for
would
dis-
want him.
We're
to
not.
do
We're
that.
not
But we're
sure
not
about
talking
that.
about
And
other.
even
We're talking about you and me.
all
Okay,
defend
let's
We're
do
talking
this
about
stuff
you're
here.
talking about you
So,
and me.
okay, here,
This is not.
Devin.
This doesn't involve
Devin,
other
Devin,
people
Just
because
like
other
you
people
were
have
telling
it.
me that I have to accept your nudity.
I'm not saying that.
That's
I
a
never said.
restriction
Did I
on
say
me.
you have to
I
accept
have
me
to
being
present-
nude?
Okay.
Did those
Because
words come
you-
out of my mouth?
Look.
But listen to what I'm saying.
Well,
Did I
let's
tell
do
you?
this,
Did I
Devin.
tell you?
You're-
Hey,
you're
you
being
have to accept.
ridiculous.
You have to accept
You're
me being
being, I
nude. But
can't
did I say
believe
that? But did I
that
say
they
that?
give their children a
But did I
in
say
this
that?
situation.
But did I
Okay.
say that?
Let's both
But did I say
collect
that?
ourselves.
All right,
Exactly.
One second.
You're not listening to
One
what I'm
second.
saying.
If you
Right,
want a
you keep repeating me.
utopian perception
No,
of how
I-
people
I
are supposed to
don't.
live,
I really
and
don't.
that's not right. There are rules, there's respect.
Right.
People come
right.
from different backgrounds.
Right,
I don't
let's-
want my kids
let's
to
do
be
this.
like
There
it.
are obviously
And
a
they
lot
don't
of
need to.
a lot of
Then
emotions
you need to go
here.
for photo and in
Let's
that
try
time
to
they can
address
see
them
you.
I
functionally.
mean, I'm trying to respect
I'm not-
you
that's
and
fine,
your
I'm going
wishes.
Can I
anyway.
have
Yeah,
both of
right.
you please?
I mean,
It's not-
can I have
I was
We
there
can
for
we
it,
can
no,
take
I-
this up in court because at this point now I'm being harassed. I
You're not
came
being
to
harassed.
I came to
You're
the
not being harassed.
mediation.
Talk to you
Well, let's-
once
I came
and
to the
ignore you.
mediation and
Talk
I'm
to you
trying to
once.
come to a
Let's-
solution.
let's do
Let's
this.
You don't want a
You want a
solution.
solution?
You want to tell me
Wow.
what to do in my house,
Well,
right?
Devin, let's
not
do
be
this.
talking
Let's
to you
let's do
that
this.
way.
Right. You
Okay.
want to tell me what,
Absolutely
and you
not.
want me to be a
I don't wanna be
hypocrite?
inter- I don't
That's
wanna be
fine. We can
interrupted
take this to court because at this point you're harassing me and my wife. That's period point blank.
We'll see
This is
in court
blatant
if that's the
harassing me.
case.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
We'll see, we'll
Right.
see
Right.
who is more emotionally distressed.
That's
Me and
fine.
my
Well-
children or you?
That's fine.
Well-
And you just mentioned your children haven't viewed it, right?
Huh?
Correct. You mentioned
Oh,
your children
well,
haven't
no,
viewed
no,
it.
no, no,
So
no,
what?
they
So
should
what?
have
They're
done
not
that.
emotionally
Oh,
distressed.
okay. We're gonna stop
Period,
here. We're gonna stop here for a
End of
second. We're gonna
story.
stop. We're gonna stop here for a second. I asked a question earlier, Devin. What kind of things would you do that would make Shabnan feel safe here? And that's to fill in the cracks, to appropriate timing, and to make sure it's dark. Is that you'd agree with that's what the
Yeah,
things
I
you
agree.
said? Okay,
I-
now, well, let's do this here. Shabnan, what things could you do to make sure that Devin feels?
I haven't done anything wrong.
Well, no. What things would you do to make sure that Devin feels safe in his own home?
I
Would
will
you-
wear clothes. I'll wear clothes when I go in my backyard.
Oh, well, that's not. That's a little bit off of what the question is. What I'm asking Devin is what things he would make sure to do so that you feel safe, so that your family feels safe. And his response was to make sure that he fill in the cracks, and then make sure that he's appropriate timing. So I said, what things would you make? Are there any? Other, you mentioned that your kids, they can view his yard from the trees if they're climbing the trees. Is there anything maybe you'll give a certain time that they're allowed to do that?
No.
So let's see here.
No. My kids can do whatever they want whenever they want in the backyard. They do not disrespect him. They wear clothes. They don't do anything indecent. it's my home. I put a lock to that home. I will not allow my kids to, already feel more restricted than they already have. They
Right, but
need to be
could you
trained.
see-
I'm not asking
does
for
Devin- would you
anything
feel that
absurd
Devin
out of
would
this
feel-
world. I'm not asking him to put some damn clothes
Devin,
on.
do you feel restricted if you're not allowed to go into your own backyard, into your own hot tub in the nude? Do you feel there's a restriction there if you're not allowed to do that in your own home?
I feel like, because we're all adults and we live in a world where we have to
Respect each
we
other.
have to be mindful of if an adult is going to make a choice, and if that choice affects us, we live in a world where we need to be mindful of that. So I mentioned that I would be willing to fix the cracks so that if by accident, I'm not saying that we'll be nude during the day, but if by accident you could walk past and view my backyard, that wouldn't be possible unless you're physically looking over the fence. So this is an 8-foot tall fence. So the only way you'd be able to view my backyard is if you go over the fence and look, and intentionally look into my backyard.
Right.
That's the first thing I would make sure of.
Right.
The second thing I would make sure of is that if we choose to be in the nude, that we would do it at an appropriate time. I feel like an appropriate time is after dark, right?
Right.
Right.
After dark, and you're filling the cracks. So that those are the necessary steps that you feel like would make sure that you are not visible, and that you're not purposefully doing anything that would make
Because that's
Right.
that's not my intention. My intention is to never force something on somebody or to expose myself to
Right.
people. Because again, like I said, now I have to go and tell my wife about this,
right.
and that
And I have to
it's
go
the-
tell my husband.
Well,
And I do have to go tell my husband. I don't think that I'm being respected, and I'm very emotional.
Well, we did see that Devin is doing a little bit of an effort here, in the fact that he'll do his part in filling the cracks and making sure that he's there at an appropriate time where it's dark enough where maybe he's not as visible to your children. If they're children that they choose to go ahead and climb trees, or they go in a treehouse at a specific time after dark and they happen to view, then that's what Devin's done his part in terms of trying to at least make it less visible. Is that something that you'd be okay with? No.
My intention coming here was to try to establish a line of communication so
Right.
that, she mentioned that, hey, I want to build a treehouse. What my kids might have a sleepover. It's not outlandish for somebody to come over, knock, knock, hey, my kids are going to have a sleepover, they're going to be in the backyard late.
Right.
Right. We don't have to get into the whole specific details of everything, but,
Right.
if that was communicated, then I, in turn, would know that, hey, there's going to be kids in the backyard,
Right.
they're going to be
Well,
in the
maybe
treehouse.
that's the relationship that needs more building
Yeah.
here. Maybe some time for
So
the
we-
two of you to make sure that you are, able to respect each other and feel comfortable with each other enough to, speak on other terms outside of, here in the, at home.
And that's not my intention. Is not to let anybody feel like they're restrictive. Like I mentioned before, the only time we were nude was when it was dark, so I thought that we were being mindful. But it's not outlandish for there to be a wheel of communication, but there has to be understanding on both ends. Where as much as she's asking me to understand that she wants to raise her kids in a very conservative, a very religious, a very welcoming and opening environment. In the same breath, I want to live and be able to operate in a home where I have the same type of.
So hold that thought. So can we both parties come to an agreement that if there was to be better, more functional communication between the two of you of what's going on in your backyards at what times, perhaps you can come to some kind of like living situation where you both are able to do,
No,
as
I
you
want
please.
I have totally zero chance of my children being exposed to nudity
Would
in
it-
property. So
Let's say this though, if you were to speak to Devin and you were to let him know, hey, Devin, it's late, it's after a certain time when Devin said that he would feel
No, I
comfortable
don't
with
want that.
going to the nude.
I don't want to sit here and babysit. I don't want.
I'm not sure that it would be
No, I mean the sense that
babysitting
I don't want
because-
to go out of my way.
Right.
Out of my way. I'm very busy today. By the way, kids are going to sleep. Go do whatever you want with your wife outside. No, It should be
But
common knowledge.
at
Don't
the
be
same
spoken
time,
to.
at the same time, Devin has agreed that, you know, he'll do his part.
I don't care.
in
I
trying to
want it.
help.
I want what I want, and that's not what I want. I don't want. I'm not gonna settle less for my kids. That's just not gonna happen. I want my kids.
But wouldn't
to
that,
have
wouldn't
a
that be
chance
looking
at
out,
liberty in the
would that-
backyard. He's not agreeing to that.
would that be more
So,
so,
you know.
but I think that sounds more like you being safe, looking out for your kids to make sure that, hey, you know, they're gonna be out here at this time, you know, you're just making it aware to other people that, that your kids are gonna be out, and you're gonna make sure that they are respect for that, and maybe, and Devin said he said that, you know, if he heard that your kids are
Mom, I
gonna
want
be,
Devin
he'll
to
be
say he
inside.
won't be doing the backyard again.
I'm not sure, how do you feel about that?
Well, you know, like I said, it's, you know, she wants a open, what was the word you used, unrestricted, you know, kind of area for her children, and, you know, how is my wife and I to be afforded anything less than the exact same treatment? You know, I feel like it's very, what she's asking for is very one-sided, is very, you know, selfish, and I didn't come here to be selfish. I didn't come here and say, you know, we're gonna be nude whatever time, it doesn't matter, I don't care. I didn't say that. You know, I said, hey, what are your issues? What are, you know, how are they able to view us? Let's take care of it so that.
My kids are way more important than what happens to him and his wife. I'm not asking for anything that no other neighbor would want.
I understand your
that no other neighbor would ask for. We want to live in a community where everyone respects each other. When it comes to basic things, wear clothes when people see you. Okay? That's really what it comes down to.
We hear your concerns.
Yeah,
We
and
understand.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Devin.
Well, we'll see here, yeah, I'm not really sure, you know, if there's any other thing that could be, you know, brought up that would help, you know, with that situation. You know, Devin, I appreciate the fact that you mentioned that you'll, you know, fill in the cracks and look for an appropriate timing as to when, you know, you would go ahead and, you know, maybe be outside nude with your wife, and also that you were accepting the fact that, you know, if Shabnam was able to, informed you when her kids were able to come over, that, you know, you would be okay with that, you know, and that if they were going to be in the trees or the treehouse, that you would look to maybe doing whatever it is that you're doing at a different time. So now we get a little different response here. I think you are okay with the cracks being filled in. I think the appropriate timing is something that is a little on the fence, but then the fact that your kids maybe being in the trees and him still, and not also not wanting to go over there and feel as if you have to be a reminder of your kids. Is that fair to say, those two statements there? So if there's any other thing that is that would make you feel more comfortable, the one thing for you is that you said what would make you feel comfortable is him not being nude ever in his backyard. But Devin, obviously, you would like to continue to do, you know, be nude or do whatever things you feel comfortable in your own backyard privacy with your wife. I'm not sure if we're going to agree on those two things. So I don't know, maybe I'm not sure that if there's anything that, you know, you guys would like to mention or that might help with the situation. If not, then I think that we can say that this is there's an inconclusive. There's no real reason to continue with it. You know, I think it's important that you guys would build a relationship with each other. Maybe moving down the line, you guys can, you know, I think, like as you said, you recently moved in. You've been here for a long time. I'm sure you guys are planning on being for a long time. And your kids are going to grow up, and you want them to feel safe. Don't want them to be exposed to anything that you don't want them to be exposed to on your own.
No, and I don't think it's unnecessary that there's communication about, you know, when the kids are going to be in the backyard of the trees, because I don't think that they're going to be in the backyard of the trees every day.
Right.
And I'm not going to be back in my backyard late at night nude every day. So, you know, I think that she's like on the extremes, and I'm not trying to work in the extremes. You know, that's my whole
I don't think
understanding of the viewpoint. You know.
Okay, it's okay. We can have a second mediation if you both feel like some more concerns.
I don't think that. I mean,
Okay.
I'll think about it.
You know, I'd be open to that if there's a common understanding that there needs to be some sort of a compromise in what's going on. Like I said, she's asking for is for, you know, her family to feel unrestricted in whatever they want to do, and you know that's also my intention, right? Is to end this in like in a way that can be fair for both parties. And you know what she's saying is that you know it can't be fair that she wants what she wants, and my you know willing to give, obviously with the fixing the cracks and the you know communication about times. I'm willing to give. I just don't feel like she's willing to give anything. So unless you can you can you know come to a point where you know you're gonna understand that we're both adults and we both you know deserve to be able to do whatever we want. And in order for us to do that, we need to come to some compromise. You know, so if you're willing to understand that, you know, we can have it in a mediation. But if you're not willing to understand that, then
there's certain things I'm not willing to compromise on, and there's some that you know I am, like the fence being fixed. But we can talk about that in our next mediation.
Well,
I've been very emotionally drained from this
I
conversation.
think we covered a lot of ground today, so, you know, I appreciate the fact that you guys both being here again, and you know, the next time, you know, we'll know where to start from and pick up where we left off here, and, yes, I appreciate you guys being
Thank
here
you
today.
both.
All right.
All right.
cool.